Alrighty, welcome to this video on District R. District R is actually a mapping solution that was created by professors at Tufts University, built on top of QGIS, which is a common GIS solution. The District R program is being packaged into a product through Redistricting partners and going to be available to clients. If you have questions about acquiring the product, please contact us at info@redistrictingpartners.com. I'm going to go through a quick demonstration in Napa, utilizing it where we first actually interacted with the program in 2019, 2020 redistricting process there for the city. Napa has 4 council districts and 1 citywide mayor. So we're going to follow that basic construct for drawing these lines. We'll look at a number of different ways in which lines can be drawn, data that can be used to help inform the drawing process. This program is probably the most lightweight of the different options that are available. I'd consider it probably the most user-friendly. It's also a little bit more limited in the types of tools that are available, and we'll have future videos that show the features of other mapping programs that could be available for public engagement. So here we go. Alrighty. In Napa, we have different ways in which we could draw these districts. We're going to choose to draw the 4 city council districts. The geography that this is using is blocks, as it said there. Built out of blocks. So we'll go ahead and use this. This would be the census blocks, which are the smallest unit of geography. The basic first thing you'll see when you go into this is you'll see the map with these different boundaries of each of the census blocks. A census block can be very small. Generally, you've got the smallest unit would be a census block. That's generally the smallest unit that would be used in a redistricting process. That goes to census block groups, census tracts, and then up into counties. That data is coming from the US Census, and the new Tiger files are the files that harbor all of that information. Are released. The 2020 Tiger files will be released soon, along with the 2020 data to go into them. As we look at this, the population balance table here is going to allow us to select districts and make sure that they're each relatively equal size. So in most redistricting, a relatively equal size would be that the largest district is no more than 10% larger than the smallest district. Other municipalities might have a smaller deviation that is allowable, and in a congressional plan, the deviation allowable is 1 person, different standard. So we have tabs here for the population, for the data layers, and then for evaluation. So the population table will show where we're at in each district at trying to achieve an ideal population of just over 19,000. With the total population of the city at 76,915. That's based on the 2010 census. The deviation right now is 100%. There are no districts. Once we start drawing that, we'll get smaller, obviously. And we can do this function to highlight any unassigned units. In the data layers, we can show the districts, which we'll want to do. We can show district numbers if we want. Then we can also select demographics that show on the screen. So if I wanted to simply show population, I could see population. The darker the population, the larger the number. Or I could show the population based on a underlying demographic. These will be different for different jurisdictions, but in Napa's instance, we have these variables of different ethnic populations in that set. If we wanted to, instead of showing population, show voting age population, we can do that, and we can look at the Hispanic voting age population, which was probably considered to be the greatest or most likely to be protected class in the Napa redistricting. And we can see these as shaded regions, or we can see them as kind of these heat circles, but we'll stick with shaded regions. Pretty basic layout here for you to be able to go in and draw districts. So we'll go ahead and turn that off for now. In evaluation, you can look at different factors. So I might want to put as my main one, the white population, Hispanic, and Asian. If we wanted to instead look at the voting age population, we could do this as well. What is unique is that when you're choosing the data layers, you can only show one at a time because it gets a little bit hard to show two things at once. But in the evaluation tab, you can show both. You can show the population by race and the voting age population by race simultaneously. This data set right now is VAP, voting age population. You'll see other ones and ones that we'll probably be using more commonly in the Redistricting Partners branded version of District R will be citizen voting age population, so CVAP. The tools are above these tabs. You have a pointer tool or finger pointing tool, which essentially allows you the map navigation to move around. If you want to zoom in, you can zoom in with the arrows or with the plus and minus. You can also, I'm on a trackpad, so I can do this kind of motion on my trackpad to zoom in or just pinch to zoom out. So that's depending on the kind of computer that you're on. You might be able to, on one of those mouses with a rolly thing on top, roll up to zoom in, roll back to zoom out. The paint tool is the one with the paintbrush, obviously. There's an erase tool, and then there's this zoom tool. When we look at this paint tool, I'll dig into this a little bit more. You have 4 districts, so we have 4 colors here. These are preset. If we wanted to go to 5 districts, we'd have to go back and see if that had been preset as one of the options. It's not like you can just add a district like you might be able to in other programs. The brush size, it's one tool for the drawing. It is this really elegant paintbrush, and I can go like this and draw an area. And if I make the paintbrush really big, it'll draw really big areas. And if I make the paintbrush really small, I can grab just that one little one there and this one little one there. So it is a difference in the thickness that's going to determine how it works. This is a tool of thickness of 1 right now, and I can kind of go around that way. So again, we have these 4 districts. We've got the paint tool and the size of it. You can also lock the already drawn districts. So when we have districts already drawn, we can go ahead and click this button to lock it. There's an undo button, which will undo the most recent action, or you can redo the most recent action. So let's go ahead and we'll draw and then show some things that happen. So let's start with 1. I'm going to pinch out a little bit to get backed out. And I'm going to start with a kind of a wide brush, like a 20. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this. This is going to get all up in here, all this area here on this side of the river. And I'm going to go all the way up to here. So I've got 1 district I've just drawn. And let's see where I'm looking in terms of population. Our goal is 19,228, and I'm at 10,325. If I zoom in here, one thing that we did find in Napa redistricting was that you have this river, which creates a natural boundary. And the population on the west side of the river is just not enough to make 1 complete district. So there has to be a decision made as to where do you cross the river. At least this is based on the 2010 data. So we filled in everything that's on this side of the river. And now we have to figure out how to cross. So one natural thing to do would be to cross down here, and maybe I'll make this size a little bit bigger. And I'm going to cross down here and grab some of this. Maybe I'll grab that too. So I'm just going to cross down here. It's not completely arbitrary, but it's just a choice to make. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go grab more population because I still need to get higher. And now I'm getting closer. And maybe I'll go all the way across. See how I'm kind of filling everything in. So 18,000. Get that little guy in there. 19,334, where the target was 19,228. So let's back out. There's this one little thing out here Let's zoom back in here. And let's, for right now, let's go ahead and grab this stuff up here. Oh, I've gone over. So now what do I want to do in terms of having to deal with this going over? I'm going to start drawing the next district, this yellow one, and I'm going to start with a very small brush size. I'm going to come in here and grab those census blocks right there. And so this population came down, as you saw when I did that. I'm going to try and draw this district to go all the way up here and across. And when I'm doing it, I'm going to take back this part too. So this part that crossed the river here, I'm going to take that as well and see our population came down again. So if I go ahead and kind of artfully with the brush on a very narrow setting of 1, go ahead and grab some of these census blocks. Now I'll thicken I'll do the lock already drawn districts now that I've got done taking the stuff I want to take that's blue. And I can increase the drawing tool size and go this way. I'm just going to stay on this side of the highway. Oops, tipped over there. I'm going to try to draw this, try to stay on this side of the highway again. Come across. So now I'm getting really close to where I'm almost going to be done. I'm going to get a little cautious about this with the tool. So I'm going to narrow down the size of the tool here and just start grabbing individual census blocks one at a time like this. So I'm still got a ways to go. I'm going to go up one more set of blocks. Get my tool a little bigger again. Go up here. Okay, now I've gone over. Okay. So I've gone over and not to a great extent, but I've gone over a little bit. Let's go ahead and start the next district, and then we'll come back and address that. And I'm going to do the lock already drawn districts again. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go down to 1 district size. One census block. I'm going to grab this one here. Oh, undo the lock already drawn districts. See, I needed to get that little one right there. Let's increase the tool size. Let's lock already drawn districts. Let's go in here and grab the next one. Okay, look at that. I can go all the way over here. Now, oops, I did that a little bit too aggressive. Let's undo that and we'll just do that again. Okay. Kind of calling all that in. So it looks like this one is a little bit under and this one's a little bit over. That's not so bad. Let's go back down to a tool size of 1. Let's draw the last one. I'm going to grab just this block here and just out there. Unlock this. Grab those little guys there. Grab that little guy there. Okay, grab this little guy there. See that? Let me also, while I'm zoomed in here, clean up a couple things. See this standalone little green guy? That should be green. This it shouldn't go green, yellow, green district. It should, this is not contiguous to anything. So let's make this little one green. That's a 1 census block shift. Let's back it out. Let's go back to this. Let's go to lock already drawn districts. Let's go to a bigger brush size. Let's just grab the rest of this. So now I have drawn Napa. I think this looks somewhat similar to the final plan, what it was like. We have a deviation of 8%. Now, as I said at the beginning, the ideal deviation would be no more than 10% up, 10% down. The 8% deviation is between the yellow and the green. So is there a way to swap some yellow for green in a way that makes some sense? There'd be 2 ways to do it. One way would be to swap across the highway, here and here. Very easy to tell where you could just swap population across the highway. Would that swap of population across the highway be a better outcome of a redistricting plan? In order to get it lower than 8% deviation, say to 5 or 4% deviation, is the benefit of that greater than the benefit of having a district that just for no reason crosses the highway? So that's part of the way that you have to think about this idea with the smaller deviation, that it can have some value, but maybe not as much value if what you're doing is putting that numeric thing ahead of what's a pretty commonly seen community of interest would be both sides of the highway, especially in Napa where this isn't a highway that you just like waltz across. This is a real dividing line for the city. The other way to do it would be to do a three-way swap where you know that one is at the right population, but you have one take some yellow here, say, and then it would be over, and then it swaps with the green here. So you could do something where green comes down and takes this area, and then blue takes this area. So let's try something like that as just a real small adjustment, not going crazy, not trying to do anything that is going to dramatically alter these districts. Let's undo the already locked districts. We could do something like this. Boom, boom, boom. So now 18,000, let's take it down to this. Here we go. Still 18,000. Let's go across here like this. 19,000. I can do 228 more. 19,115. 19,177. Okay. So I now have taken some of this population, 19,234. So we'll do that. I've taken some of this population into green from blue, and now blue is under and needs to get population from yellow. And so blue can come up here, and we might want to look at other underlying factors and communities of interest to determine, well, is there a way to justify something like this, where you take some of these houses and put them into the blue district. Something like that. So now I've got my deviation at less than 1%. And I think I was able to do it in a way that didn't really change the way these communities of interest look, didn't really change these really clean lines. We have the river is a dividing boundary. We have this road here. I believe this is called Trinkus. We have that as a dividing boundary, Trinkus Street. We also have the highway as a dividing boundary. And one thing that's really good about this plan in its basic construction is that if somebody local lived in this district and then went home, they'd be like, oh yeah, I know what district I'm in. I'm in the one that's on this side of the highway. It's not like a district that looks all squiggly and strange where your district might not be as easily understandable to a regular voter. So now I've got this plan, it's done. I can go ahead and share it. And when I share it, I have this URL that now, no matter what I do, where I go, I can send that URL to somebody and they can go in and see my plan. So that is a shareable piece of information there. If you're doing a project with an event code like the Napa City Council redistricting might create a event code for this redistricting, you could put this information in and it would add it to some library of plans that have been submitted. But the easiest thing to do is simply take this link and email it to us or the demographer that's doing the redistricting if you're using somebody else, or the city itself directly or local government, whether it's a water district or a community college board, and just send this directly. Also a good idea to send a screenshot or something like that. You can export it as a CSV, which is a comma delimited document like an Excel file or a text file, and it would have every census block and then what district it's in. A JSON would allow somebody to open up into a GIS software. We could go create a new plan, go back to the district homepage and all of that. The About This map would go take you back to the homepage that allows you to see information about that redistricting. And that's basically the tool as it functions. It's a very, like I said at the beginning, it's a very lightweight tool. It's very easy, it's very intuitive. At the same time, it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. One thing I forgot to do is come back here now that we're done and look at the evaluation. how did we do in terms of looking at the Latino and Asian and white population, and then the voting age population. You can see in this plan, well, it looks like District 2 has the largest Latino population at 39 or 40% roughly of the voting age population. That is at 46% of the total population, but because Latinos would have included more non-citizens and also have more likely to have kids, then you have a slightly lower voting age population. The citizen voting age population might be lower. I'm not sure. It says VAP, and I presume it is including non-citizens. So this difference would only be the over 18 aspect of it. If it is just CVAP is what they meant to put there, then that is the population that is essentially like the eligible voter population. And of course, you could change this up and put different values if you wanted to, like a Native American or African American or other values there as well. So that is drawing the city of Napa. Oop, you know what? One last thing I want to do, highlight unassigned units. Look at that. I missed some things. So let's go back here into the yellow tool and let's grab that guy up there. And let's grab these little missing things here. See what that does to everything. Still at the same population. Let's go to our blue tool. Let's grab this guy. Look at that little island there. It's called an island because it's like an unattached part of the agency. Let's go to the green. Let's clean that up here with the green. That one could go into either one of these districts. Let's go back into the yellow. Let's grab this little thing over here. The unassigned population is 0, so it's not going to change anything. We're just adding like land. And that's it. So now I can update my plan, and that link will still work with that updated plan. So if you have questions, please email info@redistrictingpartners.com. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this short video.